Today, we're going to talk about financial planning tips for our aging parents. We're specifically going to talk about the very exciting aspects of powers of attorney and guardianship. And I also want to point out something. You'll notice as we go through these slides, in the background, you're going to see the latest addition to the Ledketcher family, our first grandchild, my first granddaughter, Ellie, who was born 3 weeks ago today. There are life-changing things that are going on. So when we talk about the powers of attorney and guardianship in all of these different things, I want you to find that inspiration that leads you to take action, because there are people in our lives that we are responsible for, including ourselves, and also make sure that we're having not just fun today, but we're also being responsible adults and mature about making our financial decisions. So with that, let's dig into the power of attorney and guardianship. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the importance of these documents. First off, the protection of interest. And let's specifically talk about parents, okay? Because right now, as I've mentioned several times, I'm in the midst of dealing with a father-in-law and also my own parents, and making sure that they and their basically end-of-life segments, that we're protecting their interest and that they've done things to protect their interest. And these documents not only communicate this, but they really put it in writing in a way that makes sense, so that if there's a discussion among family, you can revert to this and say, hey, there's not just the feelings of what we think about. Let's review what they've put into these important documents, which helps with the clarity in decision-making, because you're walking through these processes of the what-ifs and making sure that the right people are making the right decisions. There's some people that are very good at making the financial decisions. There's other people that are very good at making the quality of life, making sure that somebody's being taken care of at home, the meals, the bathing, the bedtime, the activities, and doing things along those lines. And if you do that, it's going to bring peace of mind, because you have this stuff set up. Now, I did not say total peace of mind, because like any human situation, it is a fluid situation. There are various people that are typically involved. But what it does do is it gives that clarity, and it gives that peace of mind that we know generally where we're headed and what is in the best interest of the people that we're trying to help and to take care of. And then there's the guardianship considerations. And I go back to this first, what I was just talking about. There are people that should make certain decisions, whether they're financial or physical or daily, and you got to make sure that the appropriate people have those guardianship considerations and who's going to take care of that. So let's dig into a little bit of what are the different types of powers of attorney. And actually, this is kind of a short list of it, and it can be specialized. So let me go through this. A general power of attorney basically gives you very broad powers for typically a short, not more than intermediate time frame. This is for if you're going to be out of the country for 30 days, 60 days, if you're going to be having an operation that is going to result in some incapacity for some period of time, or if there's a specific situation like the sale of a home, management of investments, or managing the daily finances for some period of time. General power of attorney gives very broad authority, but it gives it for a limited period of time. Durable power of attorney is exactly what it sounds like. Same broad capacity of powers, but it does not matter whether the underlying person that you have power of attorney on, you can make those decisions when they are capable, or if they go into incapacity, it does not matter. You have power of attorney for their entire life, regardless of that capacity. There's the healthcare medical power of attorney, also known as kind of a do not resuscitate often. It is the pull the plug. This is making specific medical healthcare decisions for somebody. I'm going to give you an example of a friend of mine was kept on life support for 9 years. It was a faith-based decision by his wife. They had agreed to this. The circumstances actually came rather quickly. What he wanted to have happened because he had expressed this to not only to his wife, but also in a legal document. under this health care. Now, if you're the type of person that says, you know what, if I'm not having any brain function or whatever, this is the document that you want to go, I want to pull the plug. Okay. But it is whatever your wishes are. You need to have the person assigned to this that is going to do your wishes, whether that is to terminate a life, continue a life in hope of cure or whatever. But you got to have the right person there that will follow through on your will and not their will. Then there's the limited special power of attorney, and these are for specific situations. And somebody may be issued this for the sale of a house transaction, but the powers of attorney, this limited power of attorney, is for a short-term situation. Steps to obtain and execute these legal documents. Obviously, I'm not an attorney. I'm just trying to give you some broad legal definitions and inspire you to action, but sitting down with an attorney, particularly an estate planning attorney, is critical. Not all attorneys are created equal. They all have specialties. And what you really want to make sure, particularly if you've got a more complex estate, ownership of businesses, royalties, you have, multiple complex situations, trust, these kinds of things. You really want to make sure that you sit down with an attorney that this is the main focus of their practice. You want to evaluate the options, and you want to be in control of this. I want to go to the right attorney for the right situation, but I also want to make sure that I'm the one driving the conversation and evaluating my options. You're going to need to walk into that meeting, and you're going to need to gather the appropriate documentation. That may be deeds to a house, the accounts the various accounts and trusts and insurance policies that you have. All of the information, all of your financial information, as well as your personal information, is going to need to be gathered in order to incorporate it into these legal documents, to have them draft those legal documents, and then to go back in and review and look at these and execute them. Because you can draft this all day long, you can talk about this all day long, but until you're sitting in the attorney's office and it's being notarized and witnessed, none of this matters. So take the critical step of executing these documents, and then make sure, and you're going to see this beautiful picture of Ellie in the background. There's a reason you want to do an ongoing review and update. Remember, there is an importance of stating these things in a legal documentation. You want to get this in writing. You want to have specific powers of attorney, because you don't want to be having the arguments about, oh, mom wanted this or dad wanted this. Put it down in the legal documents. Realize that there's just not a right or wrong or A or B choice. You can use all kinds of different instruments that apply to your different situation, and then take those steps.